Should I leave my boyfriend after he gave me a meal with shrimp, even though I'm allergic, and left me alone in the hospital? I'm 24 years old, I've been in a relationship for 3 years, I've lived with my boyfriend for a year, and for the past few weeks it's been a bit of a fight after a fight, especially since I started a night job, a job I studied for 6 years, and he always knew I would do this job. He doesn't like it because we see each other less, and I sleep during the day while he's working. But that's not even the point. I'm allergic to seafood. The other night we were invited to a friend's house for a party where everyone had to bring a dish. My boyfriend brought back some spring rolls. I was with my family. I went straight to him. I asked him if he made them. He said yes. I tasted them, and I immediately tasted them, and I could tell there were shrimp in them. I asked him, and he replied, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you." Luckily, my friend, who is allergic to peanuts, had an epinephrine pen and gave it to me, but it wasn't enough. My throat started to swell. The ambulance came, and I ended up in the hospital on an IV drip. When I came to, my best friend and parents were there. I asked where my boyfriend was. There was an awkward silence, and they told me, "He went out for a drink with some friends. He said we'd call him when you left." It really pissed me off. My best friend even told me he seemed completely oblivious to the whole thing. When I got home, we had an argument about his behavior. In a fit of anger, I said, "Did you try to kill me or something?" And he replied, "Too bad it failed, at least you wouldn't be annoying me." I went to my room to cry, letting out my hatred from the evening. We haven't spoken for 2 days. The atmosphere is icy, not even an apology, nothing. I tell myself I'm going to leave him, that there's nothing left to save. But I have this doubt in the back of my mind. I talked to my mother, who told me that every relationship goes through problems. But now we're talking about a problem that sent me to the hospital, and I find it really strange. He never eats seafood, so why put it in the dish? Maybe I'm being paranoid? What do you think? Am I being dramatic, or is his behavior serious? Mini update, same day. I'm at work right now. Tomorrow I'm going to get my stuff while he's at work, and I'm going to go live with my sister while I find an apartment. And yes, my mother isn't a great role model. She has a very old-fashioned mentality and downplays these kinds of situations a lot. Thanks again for your advice and messages. It gave me the courage to make a real decision even if it stresses me out. But hey, I'll go with my brother to get my stuff just in case. You never know. Update, next day. A quick update from this morning. I finished work at 8 a.m., and a friend came with me to pick up my things. Normally, my boyfriend was supposed to be at work, but unfortunately, he was there. He told me he was sick and asked what I was doing. I calmly told him I was coming to pick up my things and that it was over, that our relationship had to end. He just looked at me and asked my friend to leave so we could talk about how it was his place we didn't want him there. I refused, reminding him that the apartment is also in my name. There are 2 of us on the lease. So if I wanted, he had the right to stay. I'm going to get legal advice to clarify some things because, to answer those who asked, yes, he knew perfectly well that I was severely allergic to every restaurant. I spent time reading the ingredients, asking questions, etc. For those who ask if it was in his character, no, he was always gentle and caring, so it's very hard to understand what could have happened. But hey, human beings are complex, and I have to remind myself not to dwell on my situation. Yes, I say that to reassure myself. Agreed to an open marriage. My wife is furious that I'm not dating anyone else. My wife and I have been together for 13 years and married for 10. We have a 7-year-old ADHD son who needs a lot of adult supervision. I am technically allowed to date other people as well, in the same sense that a vegetarian is allowed to eat steak tartare. I have zero interest, and even if I were interested, between work and our son, I flat out don't have the time. My wife came out as bisexual and non-monogamous last year. I agreed to open up the marriage so she could explore that side of her. I wasn't thrilled about it, but 1, it meant a lot to her. 2, sometimes you just gotta do things you don't want. And 3, I have a bunch of blood pressure-related issues that are making it hard for me to keep up in that area. She has an online boyfriend she's hooked up with a few times, and she's also gone on a couple dates with different women. Lately, my wife has told me she feels like I'm guilt-tripping her and martyring myself by not taking advantage of the open part of our open marriage. When I tell her I'm not interested, she gets angry and says I'm being unfair and hurting her feelings by not participating. Twice now she's threatened to break up with her boyfriend, and at this point I honestly couldn't care less if she did, and I know she won't. I am not a patient man by default, and what little patience I have is all but gone here. She already gets to be intimate with other people and come back to our home, and that's not good enough for her anymore? I have been thinking about threatening her with divorce, but I don't want to make threats in general, and especially not until I'm 100% committed to following through, and I'm not there yet. We are in couples therapy. Our therapist is useless on this issue. She just makes us automatically denigrate ourselves by saying, the story I'm telling myself is, whenever we talk about our feelings. One time, she charged us $400 for a podcast recommendation. My wife loves this therapist and does not want to switch. I have been asking around for some perspectives on this. Consensus seems to be a combination of, maybe she feels guilty, and you are a liar and an idiot. Agreed to an open marriage? Wife is sleeping around as is her right, and I'm not. That offends her. Am I missing anything? Am I the jerk for moving back home after my husband left me even though I'm pregnant? I've been getting cruel messages from my ex, his family, and our friends for the past few days. My soon-to-be ex-husband, 33 male, and I, 28 female, have been together for a decade, married for 5 years. I'm currently pregnant with our first baby and due next month. After I graduated, I moved back to his hometown, a major city on the West Coast, with him. I'm from a bigger city in the Midwest, but loved living out there. I thought we were happy. We planned our baby and were so excited. But a few weeks ago, he told me he was going to file for divorce. He said he didn't want to be tied down anymore, he was still young and needed to live his life, etc. He said there was nobody else, but I know since then he's been seeing someone. He wanted me to move out, but this is my house too. I put down the down payment even. So he's been staying with his friend. I can't afford to live here on my own while maintaining my lifestyle. Sure, I could make it work, but it wouldn't be the kind of lifestyle I'd want to live, especially with a baby. I make really good money even, but it's so expensive. I have friends for sure, but not the support system he does. No family here. So I've decided to move back home, and luckily my company has a location in my hometown, so I was able to keep my job. My parents have been so supportive. They're divorced and hate one another, but are now combined in their hatred of my husband, which is interesting to see. They've secured me a nice rental home in my city and refuse to let me pay them back, saying I need to save to buy my next house. They're paying for my divorce lawyer and my co-pays at my new doctor here. They're paying said I'm doing the right thing for my baby and are happy to help. My mom is about to retire and even wants to watch my baby while I work after my maternity leave. So it's been an ideal situation for me. My husband is furious. He's claiming that I moved to get back at him and am going to try to keep him out of our baby's life. I explained very clearly that I couldn't afford to be a single mom in San Diego, but he doesn't believe me. He's told everyone I moved back to get the upper hand on custody. That's not why I moved, but it's definitely a plus. His job doesn't have any locations here, and they won't keep him if he moves. He could get another job here, of course, but he says that's too much to ask of him. I told him I'd be going for child support once the baby is born, and he told me I needed to make up my mind. Could he be a dad or no? I told him he was going to be a dad regardless, and if he doesn't want to move here, then he would be a dad by paying child support. I don't think I'm the jerk. I think I'm doing what I have to do. But I don't know what I'm supposed to say to all these people texting and calling me and telling me I'm keeping our baby from him. Am I the jerk for not telling my best friend the real reason I'm not at his wedding? I, 29 male, was supposed to be a groomsman for my best friend, 30 male, as we've been tight since we were kids. This weekend, he's marrying his fiancée, 28 female, who I've known since they were dating long distance in high school. At his bachelor party last weekend, we started off at my place and transitioned to bar hopping. And by the end, my best friend was drunk, and the guys, all our mutual friends and some of his cousins, were egging him on to do a last kiss before marriage dare. For extra information, I'm not a fan of that custom at bachelors or bachelorettes, because it honestly makes it look like you're being held hostage to marry the love of your life. Plus, it's just disrespectful to your partner. But that's just an opinion I have, and to each their own, but I knew my friend shared it too. Still, my friend wouldn't do it because I know he loves his fiancée very much. To my literal shock and horror, he turned around, grabbed, and kissed me. Not even a dumb peck, like he actually dipped me and held it for a few seconds, until everyone was laughing obnoxiously. I didn't kiss back, I just froze and laughed it off when it fin-eyed. Later, I realized I wasn't having much fun anymore, and bailed early, taking some of our drunker friends home with me. The next day, his fiancée first texted me on Instagram, then on WhatsApp asking to talk, and then called me. She wasn't yelling or anything, but was just kind of awkward. She said she knew about the kiss, and that while she didn't love it, she was glad it was me and not some random girl. She said if he'd kissed another woman, she'd have taken it as cheating and dealt with it worse. I agreed and backed her point, saying I wouldn't have encouraged or allow that. But at the same time, she admitted she didn't feel comfortable with me being at the wedding now either, because it would just be in the back of her head. I was admittedly stunned at first, and then mad, then upset, but came to the conclusion that it was her wedding at the end of the day, and told her I got it and wouldn't go. She thanked me for understanding, but also asked me not to tell my friend that she was the one who asked. I have already sent the text backing out, giving reasons regarding work, and my friend was very upset and asked me if I could back out in any way. I freelance, by the way, and he knows this, so my lie wasn't a good one, and he went from upset to straight up mad at me for bailing out on his wedding day for work. All our mutuals have texted me in our shared wedding cost and have asked me to reconsider and told me there's no way I'm skipping his wedding for work I myself manage, some being harsher and some passive-aggressive, all very valid. Now I'm stuck looking like the jerk when I was literally asked not to go, and also asked not to say that I was asked not to go. Everyone around me thinks I'm the jerk for prioritizing work over my best friend's wedding, and I honestly don't know how to navigate this without losing people. Update. After reading through all the comments and some private messages, I realized my approach was wrong and wasn't fair to him, or myself, and was honestly making me look like the worst person on the planet. So I ended up sending him a long text explaining the actual reasons why, starting from the kiss last weekend to his fiancée asking me not to come because it, also very loosely mentioning that she didn't want me to tell him about it. After reading many comments, I did feel like a wuss for complying in the first place, but I don't know, I still felt guilty about it even telling him that and even just breaking her trust. He didn't text back for ages, but called me almost immediately when he saw it. Wasn't yelling or anything, but I could hear that he was really emotional. First, he apologized like 10 times for the kiss. He said he thought it would just be a dumb laugh for the guys, and didn't realize how much it crossed a line for both me and his fiancée. He also said he never wanted me to feel uncomfortable, and admitted he'd been drinking way too much that night. I told him I completely understood and forgave him for that, at least on my end. Then when I told him about his fiancée's request, there was a long silence. He just kept repeating like, "She didn't tell me that." I swear she didn't tell me that, and said he wished she'd talk to him directly instead of going around him, and that he hated how everything looked. Also said he had been the one to give her my number, as I had hers but never texted her, but thought it was for some surprise present she was planning on surprising him with. After we talked, his fiancée texted me apologizing for putting me in that position, but she still stood by that she personally didn't want me there. She said she didn't want to be thinking about that on her wedding day, and while she wasn't mad at me, she just needed the peace of mind. To cut a long conversation short, I'm going. My best friend told me he wanted me there, but also said he understood if I didn't want to push it with his fiancée, but repeatedly said he wanted me there more than anything. I told him I loved him and supported him and I'd go, and that I was sorry for ever considering not going. He cried, I cried, like babies, but ended well enough. Our mutual friends, groomsmen, I'm guessing, are still kind of salty with me because they don't know the real story, and I'm not about to spread it around as it's not my relationship and not my drama to share. My best friend did tell me he'll clear the air as soon as possible prior to the wedding, but until then, I'm just gonna take the one looking like a jerk. I'm honestly glad because I could have very well been a knob and have missed my own best friend wedding. It's this weekend, and we have a pre-party which I'm officially involved with once more, which is great. Thank you for watching, like and subscribe for daily Reddit stories. All rights belong to the original author. This video is for narration entertainment purposes only.